Hi.
Hi, finally.
Yes, finally, we're here to have this chat.
Yes, yes. Um, I think before we get started, I would love to know about this cute cap that you're wearing. I know we spoke about it a little bit, but if you can just tell me, how did you get this? And it's looking amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I somehow got gifted it from my dada's brother, an uncle. He had someone visiting him from Sindh in Pakistan, and I'm in Indonesia. So, yeah, somehow he decided to give it to me. I think he knows he knows that I'm doing this project and he knows I'm very like passionate about like preserving our culture. So I think he just decided to give his gift that he received to me. Yeah,
Amazing. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. It looks beautiful.
thank you. It feels special to wear something that is actually from Sindh. It just feels
Yeah.
like really, wow. Yeah, like this is from there. It was
So,
made there. It's from like our land. It feels beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
very special. And I'm also like thinking just, like the timing of it. Like we've been,
Yeah.
planning to have this chat for a while now, and you happen to have this for this amazing chat that we're going to have about our culture and Sufism. So yeah, perfect. Okay. Um, do you want to like maybe just start by talking about like when and how did you start feeling this connection between Sindhis, the land of Sindh, and Sufism? Like, how did it happen? And because I don't know, like for me, growing up, like we didn't really talk about Sufism uh, back at home. So yeah, curious to know your side of the story.
Yeah. I think I noticed like growing up, my dada was always drawn to like poetry. Like he would write a lot of poetry, but he would also read a lot of ghazals and Sufi poetry and bhakti books. Like I have seen that in his collection of books, like after he passed away. Um, and I think he had this draw towards these these things. But I think it really clicked for me last year when I was in an ancestral ceremony and I really met the depth of my lineage and understood that Sufism is a big part of it. And I think the intricacies of that is something that maybe will naturally unfold with time. But what I know right now is that I come from a Sindhi Sufi lineage. And then somehow something clicked very deeply inside. Like suddenly my whole life made sense, or like my thought process and how I have always felt like living by the heart is very important. Like being heart led is really important. Like these things have always just been so strong inside me since I was a kid. Um, and in fact, like last year, like when, like a little bit after this ceremony or before around the same time, I even came across like a zine that I'd made actually when I was a kid. Um, Probably between the age of 4 to 8. And in it, I have written that like love is given to us by God and grown by us, and many other things about love that I was shocked when I read it that I wrote that at such a young age. I was like, how did I know these things? I was so young. So there's
How old were
some
you?
between 4 to 8. So there was something bigger than me remembering something and moving through me. Um, yeah, and then when like what I understood through the ceremony came to light, somehow everything just started to make sense. Like I think, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And then I delved deeper into it through the intellect, like reading about it online. And I understood and realized more. Like in me, I already felt this feeling that at some point, the land of Sindh, people lived in a lot more harmony because of Sufism, like regardless of religion. I felt it in my body after the depth of experiences I had last year. But then when I like researched, I realized that, yeah, that is actually also true. That is exactly how people lived at some point, like regardless of religion, before colonial times, before the British came to what was then India and what is now Pakistan and India. People in our land just lived a lot more harmoniously. And yeah, it made me sad also because it made me realize that we lost a lot through colonialism, like so much more than we'll ever be able to like fathom or understand or name. Uh, but it also made me feel proud that like how rich our culture actually is. And yeah, I think it led to so much within me, which is now also like, being shared through this project, through Takat. Mm, so yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and also like I think to feel that and to then start the journey of exploring that in a deeper way with this project uh, of this project that we've started of doing our own bit to preserve Sindhi culture, and also diving deeper into like first within our own selves feeling the connection between Sindhi culture and Sufism, and then also like yeah, and then through research, through talking to people, through people who come our way, finding ways to go deeper into it, and then of course to share it.
Yeah. I want to read something that I read in an article, a paper, um, called like it's an article called Religious Inclusiveness and the Medieval Sindhi Sufi Poetry, Intangible Cultural Heritage of Sindh. It's by someone called Tanveer Anjum. And in it, they write that the Sufis of Sindh composed vernacular poetry encompassing the theme of religious inclusiveness and pluralistic accommodation, squarely in line with the eclecticism of the region's religious landscape. It freely imbibed elements from varied local cultural traditions. Sufi poetry, together with centuries old Sufi practices, allowed fluidity of religious affiliation and created a space where religious identities became inextricably intertwined. However, these identities were communalized and rigidified in colonial and post colonial periods. Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
says so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and Something that's coming to my mind as well is that um, I think for the longest time I've associated Sufism as a religion within Islam. Um, and I'm just like, it's of course like I'm being very vulnerable here and sharing this, but I think I've also evolved, not learning, but I've already evolved over that thought that whenever I felt the um and this is way before we started, our project. Um Whenever I felt something in me feeling drawn towards exploring Sufism, like my mind used to be like, but that falls under Islam, no? And how can I then, right? What would that mean for me? However, there was a very big part of me, and I also feel that comes from our Sindhi roots. Uh, there was a big part of me that that felt that that's okay if you're feeling drawn towards, diving deep into Sufism. And the main reason I was feeling drawn towards Sufism was because of its openness, was because of it having love as a religion and not talking about any particular community or sect of people. uh and I would not, I don't think I have understood everything completely, but yes, I've understood this much, that all that I feel, all that even you feel uh, in our bodies is because of that known knowledge and that lived experience of our ancestors, that is communicating through us, that that already feels drawn to something that, yeah, that we don't know, right? So yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting as well that, um, this colonial experience that also our ancestors were at the hands of made them see other people that their own ancestors lived in more harmony with before from a lens of division. Like, I also saw that in my own family, like, especially in my mother's side, like my nana, he was very anti-Muslim. And it made me really angry and sad. And I kind of see more clearly now that, that division was also a product of colonialism and a lot of the ways of experiencing life in Sindh at some point, but how that was also for that, how that is so new. This division, this sense of othering is so new because actually these, like the article said, centuries old Sufi practices. Like for centuries, our ancestors actually have lived in more harmony and experienced more harmony regardless of religion to a large extent. Of course, I have no doubt that, like, you know, nothing is ever so black and white. Like there's always um, some sense of darkness at play, and there's so much history within India itself when it comes to so many like different empires and different things. But I'm so sure it's so evident from like the experiences I've had, like connecting with my ancestors and even doing the research, that at some point there was just more harmony. People, even if you disagreed with each other, you could like hold space for each other's heart. That's what it feels like. Like it feels like at some point, like we knew how to do that, and religion wasn't something that divided us, because it was maybe just a way of connecting with the divine through some structure, but the essence of that divinity was still like here. And that's all that mattered. So somehow we went from there to then, you know, getting to a point where we have been conditioned and trained to think and see certain religions from a certain light in a certain way. And that's really sad.
Yeah, I think like you said, like it's it's not just black and white. Um, and of course, like division, hatred was, it was serving some set of people. It was a propaganda. And, you know, like some people followed it, they believed it, and it was serving, and they went ahead with, that propaganda of cultivating hatred because it was serving them um, in some way. And I also, I think we both can also appreciate that, yeah, having lived through the partition times, which again, was under so much hatred at that time. Like, I can also understand because my um, father, my grandfather also carried very strict boundaries with, uh, Muslims, the Islamic religion. And I can also understand where they're coming from, Not my father so much, but of course he carries the same blood as my grandfather. My grandfather fled from Sindh. So a part of them carries that memory. And yeah, so I understand that as well. But I also feel that today, you and I, like having this conversation and opening ourselves up and realizing that there was something that existed, which very intentionally was destroyed, to create division, to create hatred. And if you think about it today, like in this moment, for what? Like who really benefited from that? Um, yeah, and I'm getting goosebumps as I say this. Like I'm just
Same.
completing my sentence. Yeah. Like if both of us today are, acknowledging that there was something that existed, and is there a way to bring that back? If just you and I appreciate that and try to live that way, which is also very difficult because we have our own experiences. We will have our own experiences that will shape um, our resistance towards some communities or um, liking towards certain communities. But this deeper religion that existed centuries ago, like you said, is something that we can always remember, choose to remember in those times. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that powerful sentiment. I really felt
Yeah.
the power of those words and like how we lost something so precious. Or what? When you asked that question, what was coming to my mind is like for the gain of like, like colonial supremacy, like these old white men, like, and this Western, world, like it was actually out of their greed and selfishness that we as brown people lost all this. And
Yes.
now it's
So
just left
much.
us in more, yeah, more pain and division and hurt. But think you are right. Like as we even just begin to connect with this essence with ourselves, like who knows what will ripple out slowly and surely, even through us doing this project of, yeah, maybe building harmony and bridging these worlds that are separated together again. I mean, on our page, Preserving Sindhi Culture, like, um, when I shared that poem of my dada and that grief and pain he had even as like a 80-year-old having to have left Sindh, we got a message from someone in Sindh in Pakistan, and she said how, you know, we, like, as a people who are still there, they are so sad that this happens still, that there's so much grief that um this happened. And I responded to her saying that I hope that one day we can live in more harmony again. And I do carry that hope in my heart very strongly. Like, I hope that one day it will be easy for people who have left Sindh to visit Sindh. Like, there's just more openness also between Pakistan and India. Like, there's no um this hatred and animosity and violence and war and all of this stupid shit that is so
Yeah.
present between these two countries, when actually,
Yeah.
like, not so long ago, we were just one. Like, it's really not been that long. 1947
Yeah.
was quite recent when you think about where we are in the world right now. I
Yeah.
would I would love to ask you, um, were you aware of this strong connection between Sufism and Sindh before we began this project last year?
Like a one word answer, no, I was not. Um, but when you spoke about it, I remember um like some like inside me was like felt a feeling of joy that I will get to
Mm.
explore this. I think because it was like, like I said, like Sufism, whenever I used to hear about it, like I had this block that it's a part of Islam and I'm different. And, like we were also hate or, you know, not engage with, the Islamic Muslim community. And I thought, how can I dive deep into a religion that's not my own? But when you open that up of and again, like I'm being mindful and being aware that now I feel that, oh, I'm a Sindhi and like Sufism is a part of Sindhi culture, so I'm fine, I'm safe. But I'm also realizing that it's the conditioning, right? Like uh anybody can follow any religion. Um but yes, I felt this joy of exploring this in a deeper way. But if I actually think about it, a lot of the songs that we used to play and dance to growing up, like the Madam Mast Kalandar, these are this is a Sindhi song, like the lyrics are Sindhi. And I was just reading up a little bit, like Mast Kalandar was also like another way to address Jhule Lal, which is uh, a like a deity that is, worshipped primarily by Sindhis. So, although I did not that time I didn't know what Sufism is, but if I actually think about it, then yes, like it was a part of us. We didn't ask, neither did our grandparents shared it with us, that this comes from a particular religion and we used to practice it. I wish I got to ask them all of that. Like, I really wish. But yeah, and also like uh, as soon as we started this project, I think a month or a couple of months down the line, I was, you know, a part of this Dances of Universal Peace workshop. Again, like Dances of Universal Peace. I was doing that for the first time. I didn't know what that is. And it's there that I met this Sikh man who just happened to share with me that he's doing this really deep research on Sufism and Sufism, from uh, and that's practiced in Bengal, Sufism that comes from the land of Sindh, and he happened to mention certain poets, Sindhi poets, uh, coming from the land of Sindh. And I was so new to all of this, and I was just in awe of the coincidence of just me randomly attending a workshop, which is on universal peace, you know, and meeting a man doing this research on Sufism, and I've just started exploring this connections. And this and so many other things have happened, like the synchronicities and coincidences that just happen, and that's kind of like a reassurance uh, that you're doing the right thing and you're being supported and guided. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There is a divinity to our project.
Yes.
Always felt it, and it has grown stronger. And, you know, these experiences also like that happen to us, the conversations, the people, the things that are somehow sent our way by our ancestors. It feels like, yeah, we are actually just doing something they want us to do.
Yes. Yeah, I feel that very strongly. Like I feel like it's not me. Like I'm like just, like I know like, like it's like just particle of a dust. Like it's just being done uh through us. And like I say this so often to you, like, in our meetings and like catch ups when about the project, that what are we supposed to do? Where this supposed to go? And what is the end product of this? And, all of that, like the whole corporate um, rat race kind of like a mindset. But if I just think about it, it's just a remembrance. It can just be that. Like this conversation can just be the purpose of this. And, if we just stop. And it's not, maybe not me, Z, because I know you always keep bringing me back to like, it's okay. We're not doing this for achievement or, all of that. But yeah, if all of us can learn to just remember and be okay with that, right? And not put goals and validations to to everything that we set out to start. Yeah.
Curious to know, like in this last soon to be 1 year since we have been interviewing lots of people about Sin and well, Sindhi culture and their own lived experiences. Do you feel like maybe you have come into some contact with this essence of Sufism that is present in our culture through these conversations?
I just feel that I think we have connected with over 40 people so far in different, from all over the world, like India. We've spoken to people from Pakistan, uh, Spain, US, Canada. And of course, the conversations with these two lovely women, Sindhi Muslim women from Pakistan. I think that it always stands out for me because of like the love that, we felt, not knowing we were just seeing each other for the first time through a screen. But there was so much like love coming just because uh, they were living in a land that we could have been, like our ancestors could have been there and we could have had the freedom to visit. Just that, just that fact of sharing a land, that's all. The religion was different. Everything is different. Um, so, so there is something, right? Like there is something that brings, that is so much bigger than grouping people into certain communities, into certain religion. And I was like in awe. I never understood this, like for me, it was the first time like understanding, oh, there are Muslims who are speaking in Sindhi, like eating the same food, having the same like slang, Sindhi slangs and the way they eat food. Like I was like, what? Like that's a different world that opened up for me. And their Sindhi is like so beautiful. Like they only talk in Sindhi, all of them. And I was like, wow, I just want to explore this more and more. And I think even throughout the conversation, when Sindhis see each other and they connect, there is so much love. There's just so much love of like everybody would just love to like, I think, like get together in person, hug each other and just like talk and share like Sindhi stories. Ooh. So I think, yes, that is the essence. That is the core essence of oneness, of love. And the other thing also is, like growing up, if uh if I have to talk about like the existence of Sufism, I all I can think about like is my grandmother, who was like just an embodiment of love. The amount of love that she carried and she shared uh for the family, for the neighborhood, for God, is like it just like kept pouring out from her. I don't know from where, you know. Um, so that is also like, if I have to speak about like proof of existing of Sufism existing in our bloodline or in my life, I would just say that they were our grandparents. And for me, like more like my grandmother. Because where else can it like really come from? Yeah.
So
What
beautiful.
about you? Yeah, thank you. How has it been for you? Like, um, what has been your experience of, feeling this connection in your conversations so far since we started this project?
I think definitely like this feeling of warmth, like in one of the recent interviews, a snippet of which was already on our Instagram page, where I asked Lupina a word that comes to her mind when I say Sindhi, she said warm. And I think that is something that I have encountered before in this work that we're doing, and also seen with myself more clearly now. Like, there's a kind of warmth and love that you receive from Sindhi families, friends, when you go into their homes, that is very pure, for the lack of a better word. Like, it's just very rooted in their heart and genuine. And when I think of, you know, friendships I've had with Sindhi people and experiences of going to my parents' Sindhi's friends' homes and family members and extended family, yeah, there's this overall, like, overwhelmingly good and powerful feeling of warmth. And I think, what is love if not to, be present with this warmth and share this warmth with others? And I think that's, for me, like, somewhere where I could see this essence more tangibly. And I agree with you as well with, like, our grandparents. My Nani, she was very unconditionally loving, to anyone and everyone that entered her home. There was
Yeah.
just a lot of giving. I think that
Yeah.
even if we don't intellectually know or logically remember how our ancestors lived at some point of history, of, you know, their experiences in Sindh, even way before, like, say, even thinking back, like, over 500 years ago. There is something in our body that remembers that. And I think we feel it in these conversations and these experiences of love and warmth. And yeah, another, like, interview that really stands out, and, like, a family that I really encountered and that you also now have connected with, is Hansa. When I interviewed her, and how she also shared how much love and connection and warmth was there in their family, how they also had these Sufi gurus that they worshipped. And
Yeah.
even when we interviewed her grandparents, recently, the love and warmth they extended to us, like, just through this video call, was so beautiful and powerful, and just such a reminder of what is possible, I think, when we are tuned into this capacity of our heart and love. And for me, that's also how I see, like, this essence and presence of Sufism in my lineage and bloodline, as a language that actually I've always been tapped into without even realizing. Like, I have often written about, like, my own poems have always been around, like, love and our heart and its, its capacity for expansion. It's like now suddenly it makes sense, like, where these words were coming from, or how I just, like, created these things. Like, it just flowed through me, like, very naturally, without realizing that there's something bigger in my own lineage that has always carried these threads of looking at life from this way, or experiencing life in this way. So
Yeah, that's so special. Yeah. Like I feel very I don't know, like happy for you. um like this feeling of somehow you being the chosen one to kind of like feel this connection, and through you, like when we met, it came to me, we spoke about it, and it's actually almost like a year now. uh yeah, soon going to be a year since we met and we, started this, and it's actually after the year that we're having this conversation. And now through us, it's flowing to so many other people, and like so many dots have already joined, so it's just it's like a living proof of what an honest intention coming from your heart, if one listens to it, what it can do, and what it can build, what it can create. And 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 that same, I mean, I just want to say that, like, the opposite of that is also true, which is happening in the world, but that's not coming from heart, like war, destruction. But like you said, like there is a possibility of also creating beauty, which exists, and it multiplies faster, I feel.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think coming back to that beauty is almost why I feel that this essence of preserving our culture as also something that really carried Sufism in our hearts and our history as so important, because it feels like when I was sharing Takat with lots of people last year towards the end of the year when I was doing those presentations with space holders, and I would come to this aspect of Takat, preserving Sindhi culture, and um, what we're doing. I would say that the essence of Sufism feels more important than ever in this time of history, because there is so much division and polarization and hate. And it feels like Sufism actually taught people at some point to live in more harmony and to live through their heart. And that, you know, perhaps it is possible for us to return to that wisdom and knowledge, because I think it is possible to disagree with somebody and still see the essence of divinity in them, because we're all the chosen ones. Like, I don't think that I am special in any way. Like, I think that, like, my ancestors and God just gave me the opportunity to maybe come into deeper contact with something that lives inside me. But I think that all of us have that capacity and um, possibility within us. And I think somewhere, like, so much of what I wish our project also with time slowly evolves into is reminding people of this essence of divinity inside their heart, so that we can maybe create like a more harmonious way of existing with each other on this earth.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so very much needed right now. Yeah. Like bringing it to our own bodies and our own selves, and then bringing it to the world, starting with our own families. like if I have to say, like, like without even this connection, like maybe if, you felt this connection, if you go a little before that, prior to that, um this connection between Sindhi culture and Sufism, or any, evidence or facts that, yeah, Sufism was a part, very prominent part of the land of Sindh. Uh, did you feel any traces of its presence in the little things, like uh, at home, in your community, like growing up? Um, that maybe, would have led you to explore this connection in a much deeper way. Mhm. Like without really doing any research, and actually like the internet telling you that yes, it's true that this religion was present in your ancestral land. Were there any traces of any memories that actually stand out for you? Mm.
I think my
From your
mom and dad being very kind-hearted people really stands out to me. Like I saw them growing up being very giving to people and very kind to people, like strangers, to people in need, to different kinds of people. I just always witness them being very kind and giving and loving towards um, others. And yeah, that is what really, really stands out to me.
It's so true. If I have to like answer the same question, and just when you said this, I remembered this fact that my mom actually shared very recently about my grandfather, of kindness and giving to others. Um, like so something that he used to do, something that used to annoy my grandmother a lot, was whenever he used to like be out of home and he used to see someone in need, um, of clothes, of food, money. Of course, he used to like just give whatever money he used to have, but he used to also like give away his sweaters, give away his cap. Um, and he used to come back home like without a sweater. And my grandmother used to be like, "You can't keep doing this all the time." Every time coming back home without your own jacket, without your own sweater, just out of love, out of concern. And when my mom recently told me this, I was like, really? Like, Dada used to do this. And he's like, yeah, this was like a very big thing. Like, always, we used to hear our Dadi, our Amma, we used to call her, questioning him and telling him, like, why did you do that? So, yeah, that was also present in our family. And I think it still does. Even in me, I notice, like, whenever like a grocery delivery guy comes um in this heat right now, like I have this urge, I always end up asking if you need water, if I can give you water. And and out of nowhere, I have this habit of just offering money, um to a few people who'll come for service, who'll come and give you, delivery boys or anything. And then you'll have this, like, what can I give? Like, what can I give? Like this feeling of like feeling their pain of being in that situation, working so hard for
Mm,
such minimal amount of money. Like I feel like what can I do for them? And then I'm like, okay, let me just do this bit. So yeah, and this is something I'm just realizing right now as we're talking. I I did not really think about it. Yeah, that and and also I think my grandmother used to talk about how open, like a community form of living, Sindhis were a part of, were actually just not part, like it was a part of Sindhi culture. Uh, Even after partition, in the colonies, lanes that we used to live, like nobody used to close the doors, keep the doors shut. Doors were always open. And anybody could like walk in, bring their, like food, and then walk back to their homes with food from our house, so sharing of food, sharing of things. It was, it, and I think that is why they were happy. They didn't need as much as we need today. And we still have like so much today, but look at us, like we're so disconnected. We're so, and we don't even like, we all know there is this deep pain that is coming from somewhere. And we are,
mm,
trying to fill it with, of course, like capitalism, modern society has given us so much to fill it up with, but we're never satisfied
yeah,
because it is that we're lacking connection, we're lacking love, we're lacking oneness, which was so present back then. And
absolutely.
we stopped, doors started to getting closed with one lock, with double lock, with triple lock systems, because we needed security. And it just changed from community to one house, one unit, from the joint family to nuclear families, and like all of that. We know like how times have changed.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm feeling a lot of pain as I say this, and this desire to just like go back to my ancestral home with my grandmother right now. Like I wish she was there, but yeah. Just grateful that got to live that time with her and that we are remembering them. Yeah. And I really wish that through us, this can spread and reach out to people.
me too. And I trust in the divinity of our project. And yeah, I believe in what we are doing. I believe in the guidance of our ancestors, and just excited for us to continue everything we've been doing and to share the essence of our culture with the world.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
this conversation, but also in general for everything. I feel like in the last 11 months, it's next month it will be 1 year, so it's actually just been 11 months since we,
Oh, yeah.
connected and started this project. Like so much has happened, and we have interviewed so many people. We have built our own friendship and connection
Mm.
and warmth and love too. And I'm very grateful for you and this project and everything we're doing together. So yeah, thank you
Yes.
from the bottom of my heart.
Yes. Thank you for just walking into my life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I remember we connected for something else, and then like this came up to your mind, and I remember you wanted to wait out for 6 months, but something in you said that let's start it right away. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's been very big for me as well. Like my relationship with my roots, with me being okay, not just okay, but proud of my roots and the connection that I feel for my grandmother, both paternal, maternal, my grandfather, paternal grandfather. The love that I have for them, I think it's for my language. Um, like it just had to happen, I think, and it happened at the right time. Yeah, in my own journey of growth and healing, I feel. So thank you for bringing that to me. Yeah.
Love you. Thank you for
Love
this
you.
beautiful chat.
Yes.